All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Aduh, aduh Om Firman, Om Firman, aduh, aduh Om Firman, Firman.
In the last 24 hours, we've seen double earthquakes hit Indonesia with a 7.7 and a 6.9, and now expert predictors are warning the United States, California, of a major earthquake that is likely going to be on the way here very soon. And this year, we have seen a ton of major earthquakes. Let's take a look at the latest headlines, though, so that way you can see it for yourself. Earthquake predictor who warned of the deadly Columbia tremor issues a dire California forecast. You can see this coming out August 12th, 3 days ago. And you can see here, California earthquake swarm strikes dangerous fault. Scientists say is overdue for a major quake. We've heard there's been a swarm of over 27 earthquakes that have hit the west coast of the United States. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned to you in the last 24 hours, a second earthquake has hit Indonesia following a powerful magnitude 7.7 earthquake. Tsunami warnings were issued after the massive magnitude 7.7 earthquake rocked Indonesia along the Pacific Ring of Fire again in the last 24 hours. You can see the magnitude 7.7 earthquake was followed by at least 10 aftershocks in a region with a long history of powerful earthquakes. And you can see a strong 6.9 earthquake hit North Sumatra, Indonesia, Saturday, August 15th, 2026 today. And this comes as we have seen, take a look here, just recently, August 15th, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck Colombia. Also, you'll recall we saw a 7.8 hit the Philippines. Venezuela got hit with double earthquakes as well in the sevens, August 10th, exposing failure and buildings collapsing. A 7.4, you'll recall, also hit Japan, triggering tsunami warnings. A 7.5 hit Tonga in the latest of the 2026 massive earthquakes that have hit. And take a look here, powerful earthquakes in Indonesia, Colombia, Venezuela. We're seeing in Japan, the Philippines. Is the Ring of Fire waking up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Seems like there have been a lot of massive earthquakes that have been hitting lately. What do you think is causing this? Let me know your thoughts. I've been getting a lot of DMs from people saying, Steve, this is a sign from God. If you think it's from God, put a 1 in the comments. Some people have been saying, no, these are natural causes of the earth. There's nothing out of the ordinary. If you think so, put a 2. I've had some people say this is the sun. We've heard experts that are now revealing in the past year that there are coronal mass ejections, solar flares that are being emitted by the sun that are causing tectonic activity, plates, volcanoes to move around on Earth. If you think it's the sun, put 3. And I've heard some people that actually just saw it in the comments right now. Some people are saying, Steve, this is weather manipulation. This is man. This is HARP. This is underground nuclear testing going.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verses 1 through 6. Verse 1, and it reads, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. Verse 2, Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Verse 4, Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Verse 6, Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazar from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. All right, I got this article here from the New York Post via Newsbreak, and it's titled, At least 38 dead, buildings toppled after magnitude 7.7 earthquake strikes off the Indonesia coast. All right, and that's huge. That's a lot of damage, regarding that area. And it made me think to ask what faiths and deities do they have over in Indonesia? And I looked them up. I went on to Google and just typed in what God do the people of Indonesia worship, and it came up with got a list of the major faiths and deities in Indonesia. The number one is Islam. It says over 87% of Indonesians are Muslim. They worship Allah, the single almighty God of the Abrahamic religion. And, we talked about this other day in a video on Saturday. There's no such thing as an Abrahamic religion. All right. And we'll prove that because Abraham is a friend of the Most High. All right. Let's get that. And James 2 and 23. And it reads, And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and was imputed unto him for righteousness. and he was called a friend of God. All right. Get another precept to that to drive it home. This is Isaiah 41 and verse 8. All right. And it says, "But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend." So we know that the covenant was from Abraham, Isaac to Jacob. Okay. But it says that Abraham was his friend. You know, what makes one a friend of the Lord? This is the book of John 15 and 14. And these are the words of Yahushua. It says, "Ye are my friends if ye do whatsoever I command you." All right. So now you know what it takes to be a friend of the Most High. Did Abraham do that? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 26, verse 5. I'm going straight to the point. All right. It says, "Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." All right. So he obeyed the Lord. And what is one of the Lord's, what is the first law? This is Exodus chapter 20. And I'll start at verse 1. And it reads, "And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me." All right. It says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Verse 5. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am Yahweh thy power. I am a jealous power, visiting the iniquities of the fathers unto the children, unto the third and the fourth generation that hate me." All right. So there we go. Abraham did not have another power according to the scriptures. But this description here says that, he had one in Islam, which is a total lie. All right. So when you all hear that Abrahamic religion crap, it's a lie. Scriptures just prove it. All right. Now, going back to those major faiths and deities in Indonesia, it says Christianity, which we know is a joke. All right. Protestants and Catholics make up a significant portion of the population. They also worship the monotheistic Christian God. And hey, you know who that is. Caesar Borgia. That's not Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning he exists. Bahashem meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai, the name of the Son, meaning he saves and he delivers. All right. Now we know that the word Christian is only found 3 times in the scriptures. All right. Twice in Acts and once in 1 Peter. All right. And they were talking about the Israelites. And actually it was a form of mockery to the Israelites. All right. Getting back to that list of major faiths and deities in Indonesia. It says Hinduism, primarily in Bali. It said Balinese Hindus focus on the supreme deity called Sang Hyang Widi Wasa, the Almighty God. No, that ain't his name. We know that's incorrect, because proper pronouns do not translate. All right. It says other traditional Hindu gods like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are viewed as manifestations of the supreme power. Okay, and then they have Buddhism and Confucianism, practiced by smaller communities, focus on core philosophical and spiritual teachings rather than a single creator God concept. And then you have the local indigenous beliefs. It says various native groups retain traditional animist ideas such as the Taraja people and Sulawesi, who historically worship a creator god named Puang Mutua. So, bottom line is, hey, Lord is definitely bringing that judgment. Okay, um, you know, this place is wicked, and this is just one of many, many, many places that's going to catch it. And like I said, 38 people. All right, 38, at least 38 dead, and that was as of 3 days ago. All right, it says a powerful 7.7 earthquake struck off the coast of Indonesia early Saturday, killing at least 38 people, collapsing buildings and homes, as well as causing panic in a region prone to deadly earthquakes. And I'll show you that list. Man, that place is still rocking. Okay, Indonesia is still being rocked. All right, this is Psalms 9 and 16. And it reads, says, the Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Haggai Selah. Verse 17, the wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And that's right, it's getting to that point. You know, the world had pretty much erased Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai until the elect men were raised up. Then the name was proclaimed back in the earth again. All right, starting around the late 1960s. All right, we have the true name, and ever since we've been, shouting and expressing it week in and week out on the highways and byways, this world is starting to be shaken up. All right, doing our due diligence, not only for our salvation, but what we're supposed to do to usher in the coming of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Shai coming in all his glory to save his elect from the four corners of the earth. All right. I'll get another precept here. This is the book of Zephaniah. Chapter 3 and verse 5. And it reads, the just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. All right. I mean, he will not sin. So these things that are going on in the world are more than justified. All right. Because of the wickedness that has polluted the whole earth, according to 2nd Ezra 15. All right. It says, every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So even though this has all happened, they're still going to be calling on those other gods. All right. It don't matter, though. He wasn't there. He's not their God anyway, but they're going to learn to respect him when the Israelites are back in power and ruling again, according to Isaiah chapter 2. All right. But they're going to learn. But right now, no. You dismissing them in the name of other gods. All right. He ain't having it. And neither are we. All right. Especially in that BS Christianity. All right. Let me get back to the article. It says authorities said more than a dozen residents were injured. Authorities issued a tsunami warning and urged coastal residents to move to higher ground, but later lifted the warning when Indonesia's meteorology, climatology, and geophysics agency said monitoring showed no significant sea level changes that would pose a threat to coastal communities. And I will put a copy of this, a link to this article in the description box of the video. All right. You can see some of the damage there. All right. Let's pass those advertisements. It says the U.S. Geological Survey said the quake hit Indonesia's Flores region with a depth of 6 miles at 5:58 a.m. local time. Okay, and that's actually correct according to my earthquake app. All right, it says its epicenter was 42 miles northwest of the city of Indi in East Nusa Tenggara province. It says the initial quake was followed by several aftershocks, and there was a lot of them, as I'm going to show you. All right. It says the head of the National Disaster Management Agency, Suharyanto, said rescuers have recovered at least 38 bodies, mostly in the three devastated regions of Sika, Mangarai, and East Mangarai, including 16 bodies that were pulled from a landslide in the village of Riak in Mangarai. Okay. Says also 13 people were rushed to nearby hospitals, including 2 with serious injuries. Suharyanto, who like many Indonesians uses a single name, said 3 helicopters and rescue vessel were deployed to assist with logistics and support emergency response operations, including possible evacuations if needed, given East Nusa Tenggara's geography, which consists of numerous islands and represents significant transportation and access challenges. Okay. He said about 2,000 villagers in Negekio Regency fled their homes to temporary shelters. You see more of the people being treated there, okay? All right. It says East Nusa Tenggara Police Chief Rudy Damoko said the earthquake caused severe damage and collapsed buildings. Yeah, that's what a 7.7. That's pretty. You know, the Richter scale, the damage starts to occur at 3 and above. This was a 7.7, almost 8. So yeah, as you saw in the prior video. All right. He said power outages in cities and villages have hampered the flow of information and complicated search and rescue efforts. Says we are continuing to collect reports of damage and casualties, but there are communication disruptions, Marco said. He said that the landslides in Indi Regency triggered by the earthquake also cut off the Trans-Flores Highway, a roughly 435-mile paved mountain road spanning Flores Island from Labuan Bajo to Larantuka. It says footage on local television showed patients at several hospitals being evacuated from buildings as a precaution following the quake. Hospital staff moved equipment outdoors, including beds, 4 stands of oxygen cylinders, and set up temporary treatment areas to adapt to emergency conditions. It says the National Disaster Management Agency deployed a helicopter to assist with logistics and support emergency response operations, including possible evacuations if needed, the agency said in a statement. It says the air support is considered crucial given East Nusa Tenggara's geography, which consists of numerous islands and presents significant transportation and access challenges. All right, then it says a tsunami warning issued after 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattles Indonesia. You can click on that and get more information on that. It said about 2,000 villagers in Negekio Regency fled their homes to temporary shelters. All right, so you can see more of the damage. It says a quake felt on Flores Island and other areas. The quake was felt across much of the Flores Island, with initial reports indicating heavy damage. Johanna Embu, a resident of Sika Regency, said a number of buildings were damaged by the strong shaking and panicked people ran to higher ground. You saw that in the video. It says many buildings were damaged. I saw that the waiting room at the port terminal in Moimira had collapsed, she said. Students at St. Peter Major Seminary in Sika who were attending morning mass fled in panic when the roof of an assembly hall collapsed, said the Reverend uh, Gilbertus Tanga, rector of the seminary, which is known locally as Rita Peret Seminary on the predominantly Catholic island of Flores. Our students and nuns ran out in panic beneath the collapsing roof, Tanga said. At least one priest suffered a broken leg after jumping from the second floor of a building during the earthquake. So yeah, this was something. All right. More damage of a home being destroyed. Okay. Yeah. It says the quake also reportedly caused panic in Labuan Bajo, a gateway town to eastern Indonesia, Komodo National Park, one of the country's best known attractions. It says damage was also reported in Bima, a city in neighboring West Nusa Tenggara province, and in some parts of southern Sulawesi Island. It says Indonesian authorities initially issued a tsunami warning for the East Nusa Tenggara, West Nusa Tenggara, South Sulawesi, and Southeast Sulawesi provinces and urged residents to stay away from beaches and riverbanks. It says the agency located the shallow undersea quake near Flores Island. All right, more damage. It says Indonesia prone to earthquakes. Indonesia, a vast archipelago of more than 17,000 islands, is prone to earthquakes and volcanic activity because of its location on the Ring of Fire, an arc of volcanoes and fault lines in the Pacific Basin. It says a powerful earthquake caused a tsunami in 1992 that killed about 2,500 people on Flores, part of a group of islands in the east half of Indonesia. In 2018, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake spawned a large localized tsunami that wiped out the coastal areas, while liquefaction caused by the shaking turned entire neighborhoods into rivers of sludge. And eastern Indonesian city of Palu, in the eastern Indonesian city of Palu on the Palu Coral Fault. The disaster killed more than 4,000 people. All right. Then it's coming to 2010. A 10-foot wave struck the Mentawai Islands off the coast of Sumatra in Indonesia just minutes after massive offshore earthquake. More than 400 people were killed and hundreds of homes were destroyed. In December 2004, a massive 9.1 earthquake off Sumatra in western Indonesia triggered a tsunami that killed 230,000 people in a dozen countries. All right, so that's it for the article. This is, just let you know, the Lord is not playing. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. And it reads, "See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me." All right, you have all those false gods over there. He says, I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. All right, and that's just the way it is. You know, the power of Israel, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, is the creator of heaven and earth and all things under it, all things outside of it. All right. So, can't be worshiping all other gods, but this is just the beginning of a lot of stuff that's about happening, and we see what's going on in this world. I'll close out with this. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verses 6 through 8. All right. Verse 6, and it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." And we see that right now. Just did a video yesterday. You got Iran has put a bounty on captured U.S. soldiers, dead or alive, $30,000 if a man takes him, and then $60,000 to a woman who takes him. All right. They're not playing. All right. Trump is they're talking about going into strategic nuclear tactics. This is not going to end well, because I was reading one of the comments under that video with Steve Ram, and one of the comments said, "Hey, if the U.S. drops a nuke, everybody who has them is going to use them on us," and that's prophecy. That's prophecy. You know, those who were in league with Babylon the Great are definitely going to turn on them. All right, verse 7. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." And we see that now. You know, U.S. and Israel against Iran. All right. Russia versus Ukraine. All right. China, Taiwan. All right. Japan. It's all happening right now. All of these things are happening. All right. It says, "And there shall be famines and pestilences." You know, just see now. You know, the lettuce is messed up. Recall on a lot of eggs. You know, the pestilences. You know, you got that exploding diarrhea that's going on. We call it the boo-boo demon here in the Indianapolis camp. All right. Earthquakes in diverse places. And I said I was going to show you that. He says that all these things are the beginning of sorrows. But these earthquakes in diverse places, this is the earthquake app that I have, going back to August 14th when this happened. All right. Start at the beginning. All right. So the first, and as you can see, I have all regions, and this range is from August 14th when Indonesia was struck. All right. And through August 16th. So this is just a couple days. All right. And on your left hand side, the flags represent the different places where it happened. Okay, as you can see, Indonesia is just this flag with the red stripe. All right, and then over to the right side, you have the magnitude of the earthquake. I set it at a 3+ magnitude because at 3 and above, that's when you start to get damage. But the first time it was hit, Indonesia was hit, was 1:05 a.m. on August 14th. Oops. All right. I'm going to continue to slide down. See on the left-hand side, all of these diverse places. Indonesia was hit again at 2:05 a.m. with 3.1. Again at 2:22 a.m. Again at 2:41. So it was just coming. This is still in the wee hours of the morning. Again at 3:24 a.m. All right, more diverse places. Mexico, Colombia, you know, Indonesia again at 4:56 a.m. They still getting hit. More diverse places. Okay, and Mexico, Indonesia again at 5:42 a.m. Mexico and Japan was hit. Dominican Republic was hit. Costa Rica was hit. Okay. Sakhalin Koblas, that's the Curly Islands. Again, Mexico. India was hit. The U.S. was hit. Turkey was hit. Indonesia hit again at 10:14 a.m. that morning, but they said it was 5:58. So I'm gonna scroll up, and as I keep scrolling pretty slowly, you can see the different areas that were hit. Again, like the Lord said, these are the beginning of sorrows. This is a good app too. You all want to keep up, and here it is right here. 42 miles northwest of Indonesia. That was a 7.7. All right. Earthquake that caused the damage in the article that I was reading from. All right here, center of the video. All right, and then as you keep going, watch how many times this little red flag, and we're still on the 14th. Okay. Indonesia was getting rocked all day long. All day long. So, hey, yeah, it never stopped. You know, Lord was pissed. All right. There's another one later on that night at a 5.1. You know, and they stayed in the fours. All right. Another one, 5.1, same day. You know, just a few hours later. You know, well, you can download this app. It's called Earthquake app. But as you can see, the range here is August 14th, 2026 to August 6th. So this is just over 2 days, and the number of earthquakes that appear in those different areas. All right. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahak HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abba. We got next. We got next, saints. We got next. All right. Shalom.